5:47 a.m. In zip code 10004, the sun hasn't reached the pavement, but the machine is already warm. You believe your lack of wealth is a personal failure, a series of bad choices, a lack of hustle. You are wrong. The American economy is not a meritocracy. It is a closed-loop architecture designed to harvest your time and convert it into basis points for entities that do not know your name. You are a line item, a source of liquidity, a data point in a DCF model where your happiness is a non-variable. To understand why you stay broke while working 80 hours a week, you must stop looking at your bank account and start looking at the plumbing, the 401ks, the carried interest, and the tax codes written in rooms you will never enter. Welcome to the system. You aren't losing the game. You are the equipment the game is played with. Let's begin. Level 1, the gear, the illusion of upward mobility. You begin here. Level 1. You are 24 years old, sitting in a cubicle in a mid-tier accounting firm. You have a degree that cost you $60,000 and a 401k packet you haven't opened yet. You are told that hard work leads to capital. This is the first lie of the architecture. In reality, you are a gear. Your primary function is to provide labor at a cost lower than the inflation rate of the assets you are helping to manage. You skip your sister's rehearsal dinner because a senior associate needs the DCF models for a Monday morning pitch deck. You tell yourself it's an investment in your future. The firm views it as a successful extraction of a human resource at zero marginal cost. You contribute 6% to your employer-sponsored plan. You think you're building wealth, but the architecture is designed for tax loss harvesting and AUM fees. By the time you reach the age of 59.5, the purchasing power of those dollars will have been neutralized by the very institutions holding them. The human cost. A broken engagement via a 2 a.m. text because you couldn't commit to a weekend away. You didn't lose a partner, you traded a relational asset for a corporate liability. A cold, calculated transaction. You aren't a stakeholder, you are an operating expense. You stay broke because your salary is a fixed cost, while the value you create is captured by level 4. You realize the gear doesn't move the machine, it is moved by it. To survive, you decide to stop providing the labor and start managing the flow. Level 2, the Arbitrageur, the debt trap. You've graduated. You're no longer turning the screws, you're watching them turn. You've moved from the cubicle to the mid-level management tier of a boutique private equity firm. Your salary has doubled, your net worth has stayed exactly the same. This is level 2, the Arbitrageur. You've learned the vocabulary, basis points, carry, EBITDA, but you haven't learned the math of the cage. The system rewards your promotion with a higher credit limit, a lease on a German sedan, a mortgage in a neighborhood that signals arrival. You are now a victim of sophisticated debt. You aren't struggling with payday loans, you are struggling with a $4,000 a month mortgage on a stepped-up property value. You are working for the bank, but with a better view. You spend your days analyzing tax loss harvesting for the firm's clients. You watch as millions are moved to offshore accounts to avoid capital gains. At night, you look at your own bank account and realize you are the liquidity they are harvesting. The human cost. You miss your father's funeral in Ohio because the Series B funding round for a fintech startup is in the red. You send a $500 wreath instead. A trade of emotional presence for professional optics. A cold, efficient swap. You stay broke because you have been trained to consume the lifestyle the system sells to those it fears will leave. You are an arbitrageur of your own life, trading your best years for the interest payments on a life you're too tired to live. You realize that managing the flow isn't enough. You need to own the pipe. You prepare to ascend to level 3. Level 3. The asset manager, the institutional mirage. You have ascended. You are no longer a gear or an arbitrageur. You are a director at a Tier 1 asset management firm. You handle $4 billion in AUM. You are the person the gears fear and the arbitrageurs envy. This is level 3. The institutional mirage. You spend your life inside the Bloomberg terminal, staring at 10K filings and optimizing carried interest. You're finally in the room where the plumbing is designed, but you notice something chilling. The money isn't yours. You stay broke at this level because you are now a high-value hostage. Your $450,000 base salary is irrelevant. It is eaten by the private school tuition in Pacific Heights, the alimony to the spouse you never saw, and the taxes that the system architects above you have learned to bypass. You understand the stepped-up basis and the 1031 exchange, yet you cannot use them. Your wealth is tied to vesting schedules, designed to keep you tethered to the desk until your hair turns gray and your pulse slows. The human cost, a prescription for 0.5 milligrams Xanax taken 3 times a day to manage the portfolio volatility of strangers. You are trading your central nervous system for a 2% management fee, a clinical exchange of health for hedge. You stay broke because you are still a servant to the yield. You manage the wealth of the world, but you possess none of the autonomy it is supposed to buy. You are just a more expensive component in the architecture. You've managed the assets. Now you realize you must become the asset. You stop working for the carry and start working for the control. Level 4, the capitalist, the extraction engine. Level 4, you have crossed the invisible line. You no longer receive a W-2, you receive distributions. You have transitioned from high-value hostage to the capitalist. You stay broke in the traditional sense because you have no cash. Your net worth is a ghost, hidden in a labyrinth of LLCs and offshore trusts. You don't earn money, you extract it. You utilize the 1031 exchange to swap properties like playing cards, deferring taxes until the end of time. You understand the ultimate secret. Labor is taxed at 37%, but capital is taxed at 20%, or 0% if you're smart. You watch the gears from level 1 demand a $15 minimum wage while you lobby for basis point adjustments that net you $15 million in a single afternoon. You stay broke because you are asset-rich and life-poor. You own the debt of 10,000 families, yet you cannot remember the last time you felt a genuine connection to another human being that didn't involve a non-disclosure agreement. The human cost. A broken relationship with your adult children who only contact you via your family office's chief financial officer. You've traded the biological legacy for a financial estate, a permanent, cold, and legally binding transaction. You stay broke because the machine requires your total immersion. You have become the extraction engine. You realize that the American dream was just a marketing campaign to keep the gears lubricated while you harvested the yield. But even the capitalist is visible. To truly own the architecture, you must disappear. Level 5. The ghost, the system architect. You have reached the final level. You are the ghost. You no longer exist in the census, the tax rolls, or the public consciousness. You are the architect. You do not work, and you do not own. You control. Your wealth is held in perpetual trusts with a stepped-up basis that resets at every death, ensuring the IRS never touches a single cent of the principal. You are the one who writes the white papers that become the laws that govern the gears. You stay broke because personal possession is a liability. You own nothing, yet you utilize everything. The private jet is owned by a shell company. The estate in zip code 06830 is owned by a foundation. You are a ghost haunting your own empire. The human cost, total erasure. You have no friends, only strategic partners. You have no history, only track records. You take a daily cocktail of specialized longevity supplements, not to live longer, but to delay the transfer of power. A final, desperate transaction with time itself. You stay broke because the concept of enough is a level 1 emotion. At this level, there is only the machine. You realize that the American economy is not broken. It is functioning exactly as it was designed to. The architecture is permanent. It is indifferent to your struggle, your sweat, and your hustle. It requires only your participation. Somewhere in zip code 10004, a newcomer walks through a revolving door. He thinks he is here to make it. He thinks his hard work will set him free. He checks his watch. He is exactly on time. The machine is warm.